Hello, viewers. Welcome to our new bi-weekly podcast, Moving the Chain. In today's edition, we have a highly focused supply chain leader with almost 30 years of experience in leadership roles in companies like Blue Dart, TNT, Aramex, Pantaloon, Sob, CJ, Brinks, and ExpressBees. An able leader who has expertise in delivering B2C e-commerce shipments within domestic and international boundaries. Hi, Elias. Welcome to the moving the chain. I'm sure today's episode
Uh,
is going to I'm sure today's episode is going to help our viewers to a great extent and help the upcoming logistics leaders to plan their career in a more confident and better way. Elias, over to you now.
Firstly, thank you, Shiben, for inviting me on your podcast. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you. And I've been tracking you on LinkedIn, and I can see so many other professionals also being lined up on their podcast. Have watched a few of them. It's wonderful to be on your show. So,
Yeah, thanks. I think our viewers are ready to hear from you, about your story, your background. Over to you, Elias. Your time is yours now.
okay. So let me start by, just giving you a background about myself. I had a very humble beginning 30 years back. I started off with Blue Dart, started off delivering parcels, as a part-time money source of income for me when I was in college, and took the path of supply chain, or basically starting deliveries there, and understood the nuances. During the course of 30 years, I've been, associated with the best of companies, be it multinationals or be it, the companies on the retail side. So basically, as you said, the company is one of the best few companies in India, launched mostly multinationals, be it TNT, be it Aramex, be it Shop CJ, be it Brinks. So a diverse experience in the first mile, last mile, domestic, international, cargo, PTL, e-commerce. All of this has been a part of the journey, and it has been a wonderful journey so far. Uh, 15 years of experience in hardcore warehousing, and 15 years plus of experience in express distribution has been my forte. My last organization was among the top second best e-commerce delivery company in India, and it was a wonderful tenure of 5 years with them, and I think so still going great. Uh, so that's about me in short, and like to hear more about you, or if you had anything to ask me.
Great. I think as a astute leader, you have said your story. You have expressed your story in a very limited words and very precisely. Amazing to know that you have started your career so long back and with Blue Dart company like Blue Dart and from a very scratch almost. You said you're delivering the shipments when you are at your college days.
Right,
It's really a humble
right.
beginning. I must appreciate that.
Thank you.
Uh, Towards the serious aspects of the discussion, I have a couple of queries, in fact, couple of questions which I'm going to ask you. I think these are the questions which our viewers would also like to know. I think your responses, your inputs, your views are going to be very helpful to our viewers. The first one I would like to understand, like you are from a pure B2B, B2C logistic background. So what specific strategies you have implemented to optimize the first and last mile delivery? And can you share an example where these efforts significantly reduce the delivery time and cost? So it's about time and cost.
Okay. So let's take an example. It's a very good question, basically. So optimizing and efficiency is very important. Cost being one of the primary factors for any company to make money, actually. So let's take the landscape of the e-commerce industry which you're talking about, and time and efficiency. When you talk about this, the innovations which we have done. So basically, we've gone out from the conventional model of working along having your own infrastructure. So we try to become very lean. So the success of the industry is basically in getting lean, rather than investing your money into the infrastructure to make it run. It is basically depending, or having it outsourced to others, so that you hold your capital and are able to actually move ahead. So there are two benefits of this. One is you do not choke yourself. And the second is basically you are spreading as much far as you can. So I'll give you an example for this. So let's assume a conventional company in a city like Bangalore, which is like 740 square kilometers. This is a random number, a very close number probably, and work with 10 or 20 or 25 offices. And let's say they've got, with 25 offices, a range of maybe, 15 to 30 square kilometers per branch. And we transform that from, 25 branches to basically 55 to 60 branches. So what happened is we removed the choke out of the entire system. We actually outsourced. So whenever there was a fluctuation, we would make money, even if we are actually having a downsizing in the volume, which happens in the industry, or if there is an upsize in the volume, which happens during seasonal times. So we outsourced the entire thing. We had partners. We reduced this per square kilometer reach per person. So from 25 branches to 55 branches. This is just an example in all the metro cities. And taking an example, maybe Bangalore would have 115 pin codes. So basically, 2 to 3 pin codes per branch, or exclusive branches which have X number of volumes, so that you do not have too many resources within a branch. There are no unionization issues. There are no problems with theft, or the locality over there starts screaming with you if you have a branch and a productivity of 50 to 55, where you have so many bikers standing over there, to choke up the entire lane. So we took care of all these things. Though these are the innovations which allowed us to reach closer to a customer. Coming to the finance side of it, a win-win situation for both. Me outsourcing my volumes to individuals, basically, had a per unit cost which came into picture, then a fixed cost and a variable cost which is internally absorbed, and is a loss when the volumes are low. Outsourcing this helped us to have a per unit cost in any situation, and we could actually optimize cost by actually negotiating better rates, reducing the geography or distance of travel, increasing the output per person. So this made us reach faster to the end point. And it was a good thing for the delivery rider also, because his income source started increasing. So from maybe, let's say, 500 rupees, what he would earn in a day, reaching up to 750 rupees on a per unit model, helped him a lot. So this is the kind of innovation we did, and it helped. So it helped us scale, and it de-risked ourselves post-COVID completely, because these strategies were applied post-COVID. There were 3 months of time where we were burning money because you had to pay people their salaries. We came out with this model, and it worked quite successfully.
I think we are talking about resilience, right? And yes, like other companies,
Yeah,
everybody has done a brilliant job post-COVID, during COVID as well. And logistic has
correct,
shown its resilience, its spine during this testing time. And the way you have taken example of Bangalore, I
correct,
think all the cities of Bombay, India is kind of a Bangalore. So you have a scenario in Bangalore, you have a different
correct,
scenario in Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, everywhere it is a different scenario. But what makes more sense is optimizing your resources and creating a
correct,
pool of supplies whereby you don't abuse the overall system. At the same time, you have your customer delight by delivering them the right products at the right time
correct,
and with the right cost, obviously. That
correct.
goes without saying.
Exactly.
Great.
So these kind of initiatives basically help not only us, me in the company where I was working, but it is basically the entire industry. Took this forward from where we started off. So it was a good thing. It was a trend-setting thing. Example, people followed, and most of the companies did make money or saved money, because that is one of the biggest costs. So last mile absorbs the biggest amount of money in any distribution company, right? And variabilizing it was one of the best things which happened. And India has accepted it very well, because every kind of last mile delivery is outsourced today, be it in a quick commerce, or be it in a conventional document delivery company, or maybe an e-commerce delivery company.
Absolutely. I think that concept of variability, that concept of incentivizing, I think it has given a good growth and we are at a right
Correct.
growth track. With this, I would also like to understand, Elias, that technology part of it. So what kind of a tools or
Okay.
technologies you have adopted to improve the warehouse efficiency? Because you also have a warehousing background and experience
Correct.
and managing the inventory more effectively so that so that these tools can help you segregate and sustain your work properly?
So basically, if I look back on the warehousing side of it, since I've done that also at the last place I was, most of the companies, it's basic discipline, right? I treat a warehouse as a bank. So that's the kind of way I look at it. We transact money with the bank, we deposit and withdraw money. The same happens in a warehouse where you actually, uh, take in goods and then you get the goods out. And both happens through a transaction slip or through the system. So basically, from a technology point of view, I believe the WMS, the kind of WMS you have, the kind of attributes which the WMS covers, maybe from recording the ISBNs to the IMEI numbers or different kind of product, the kind of agility it would have to hold data and the integrity of the data. So I have observed during my career there have been WMSs who don't have accurate data but are being used by thousands and thousands of companies and who rejig their stocks every given day. Having a robust system plays a very important role, number one. Number two is ownership of the stock within a warehouse, because that's something which end of the year, instead of writing off, adds to the bottom line of the organization. So for me, at a 3PL level or at a company level, I believe a robust WMS, a good team, disciplined and trained team, and continuous efficiencies in actually increasing the speed, as well as making sure that inventories are checked perpetually, or the regular cycle counts. These are kind of things and exercises which made me successful. I've gone through multiple cycle counts, and I can give an example of one of the companies I worked for. This was a South Korean company. You quoted the name, it was Shop CJ. uh, we did a cycle count of a lakh 35,000 square feet single warehouse in less than 3 hours. Okay, and this was done by Deloitte as well as KPMG, and the ratio of success was almost 99 plus percent of the entire value of goods which we had. So this was only because we had a continuous process of not only the WMS or the same discipline, we had a system of aisle ownership. So this is something which I developed quite early. So if I have a same person doing a put away, a person who doing the picking, and the person who's doing a cycle count nominated for a smaller zone. So we break a warehouse of maybe 1 lakh into small segments, and we have dedicated teams put over there who only handle the load over there. So anything which is short, excess, or not found becomes the liability responsibility of that particular team to answer. So this actually even helped keep the inventory accuracies and the IRAs of the location very strong. So these are some of the best practices which we put, and this has all come through trial and error. So you try something, you have a team of 50 people who are running across the warehouse, starting at point A and ending at point Z, with more than a lakh locations, to basically breaking it up into different smaller parts and nominating people. So this helped us. So there are different strategies, different warehouses. It works.
So what I can gather out of this is it's not only about technology, it's about technology, discipline, and structured working as a team.
Exactly. Exactly.
These all combination of all these things gives you the desired output.
Yes. So there is an expectation to be laid. So being a supply chain leader, it's very simple for us to just walk into a warehouse or into any of the branches or the hubs and tell people this has to be done. Uh, do they really accept what you do, or do they believe what you do is going to actually give you an output desired? So hand holding at times, being with the team, showing them on the results. So basically a small exercise for a few days. Tell them if it doesn't, like, no idea is a bad idea, right? So you start with something. If it works, fine, great, continue it. If it doesn't, change the idea. That's it.
Yes, so you
So
have to focus on your goal, not the route on which you are actually moving.
exact,
Your routes can be
exactly,
changed. Your
correct,
pivoting will give you the right routes. Maybe the routes will again change in somewhere in some place, and then ultimately you have to reach your goal. What
correct,
makes sense, Elias, is with the evolving technology and everything, with the new kind of a people, new kind of a teammates joining this particular business, I think it is more very apt that it's going to be a team game all every time. And when whatever we talk about technology or what, ultimately it's shop floor work. If you are working on the
correct,
shop floor, if you have a motivated team who is ready to put 100% more than 100% every day, not one day, then I think your technology should support you.
correct.
Great.
It's all about will and skill together. So there are two things which complement. So you have a will but no skill, it won't work. Right? The other way around, you have the skill but no will, it still
Correct.
wouldn't work. So you need a combination of both. You need the skill and the will to make sure that you get the output. And I think so that has worked. I should say thank you to the entire team who worked with me for the last 30 years. Different companies, different places. They accepted, embraced change, and it worked. So that's how success comes.
That's great. Elias, now the most challenging part of the e-commerce. I'm talking about returns. You must have guessed.
Ah,
Like, please give us some idea, some reactions, I would say, about this e-commerce returns, and what are the best practices you think that we should develop or we should implement to manage this return management and to reduce the impact on the bottom line ultimately.
so let me give you a background. So returns is one of the most problematic areas in any operations with any e-commerce company. So I'll give you an example post-COVID, when COVID lockdown was over. A lot of companies had, a huge pile of load which was pending to be returned back to sellers. Uh, let's give you two examples. You have a city like Jaipur and you have a city like Surat. Surat is this textile market of India, and you have Jaipur who's got, jewelry and other items. And imagine a 5 months of volume which is still pending with the couriers to be returned. Apparently, no return addresses, and you have to pick up these and then sort. And there are lots and lots of actual problems which are there. All the companies lost money. Believe me, from the biggest to the smallest, lost huge amount of money. We came out with a fantastic idea at the last place I was. Uh, we made best use of a CBS, that is a crossbelt sorter. We had a sorter which had more than 1,000 destination bagging which could be done. I'll give you a small example of what we did. We automated the entire process and removed human dependency completely. Uh, Giving you an example, the last company I had around 40,000 active sellers in one city. And this city would receive the maximum number of returns, which could be at the tune of 70 to 75,000 a day. And you can't sort manually 70, 75,000 to, to the guys to deliver. So what we did is we indexed the entire database with the area or the route where the shipments are supposed to go back. And we nominated these 40,000 vendors into, smaller parts. So we broke the city into 10 parts. We dissected that 10 parts again into, 10 routes each. And we made like, 100, 120 routes all across the city. When it used to come into Surat, example, it would get into the crossbelt sorter. The shipments would get sorted as per that particular route into a specific bag, which would then be, sealed. And the seal used to work as an OFD. So once it reached to a branch, the guy just had to scan the branch. So there is no human transaction of actually touching a packet. This eliminated a few things. This increased the speed, number one. It reduced the pilferage at the hubs. It reduced the pilferage at the ground level, and it reduced the queries completely. The last of all is having no pilferage was having no money to pay back to the clients, right? So liability was almost nil. And whatever was given in these bags, once handed over to a guy to deliver, period. He's accountable for the entire thing. So what we did is these 40,000 vendors were nominated at each level. So give an example, maybe Elias is one of the delivery guys, would have around 60, 70 vendors or 100 vendors under him, which will have their shipments only going to Elias on a daily basis. So he's got the same thing, and he can take 2 days to clear it. So these are things and best practices we put in. So the cross-belt sorter helped a lot, got away with complete human intervention, and this was replicated by a lot of companies. So it worked, and it worked wonders. I'll give you the scale of delivery we did in a single day. I'm talking about 2022. We delivered 39 lakh shipments in a single month as a return with zero losses.
That's
And all
amazing.
through OTP, all through OTP. Huh?
Uh-huh.
So not that, you go and get a signature. So we eliminated that part also. So every seller would receive an OTP for the shipments which are going to arrive to him. The boy has to go there, scan it. He gives you the OTP, punches it, close. So you don't demand for a delivery run sheet saying that please prove whether you have delivered my parcel again. So the courier would not have to bear those losses.
Okay, OTP
So
will
these are some best practices we did, and it worked wonders.
I think with this, the amount of time we have, this particular topic needs a needs a one or two episode altogether. And Elias, I would suggest, why don't you create a kind of a white paper or a kind of a presentation? I think this particular thing, since you have personally managed such a huge returns and you have implemented such a good practices, let us sit together separately and we discuss only
Sure.
on returns, only on returns.
Anytime. It's my pleasure to, share knowledge. Pollination is something which I've learned. I acquire knowledge from people around, and I'm happy to share what I know.
Great. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about some data. Let us
Okay.
talk about data, the predictive analysis, optimization of operations through this data, and where the forecasting and route optimization, everything will be a part of the discussion. What are your views on this?
I think so. Data is, like they say, data is oil. Data is very critical for us in our industry. So when you talk about predictive analysis, forecasting, or having your dashboard, your performance parameters, these are very critical to ensure you have a robust and a system which can actually target the good things which happen and focus on those areas where an opportunity to improve lies. So let's give an example from starting from a forecasting. So there are lots of different types of customers. Some give you forecast quite predictively, a 5%, 10% range, because they are matured in their business and they've got that kind of money to create those systems. But there are a lot of customers who are on their growth stage and basically, incepting and, firefighting chaos. They don't understand this. So they just say there's a sale which will come in and you need to handle it. We work on historical data of the same clients basically to see where is their actual load popularity, where the consumption is high. So we work on different areas. So all the companies within our industry have their own analytics team who takes this data, works around it, shares it with the ground operations and the HR teams to basically create the capacity. So let's give an example. If a guy can deliver 50 shipments, he can increase it to maybe 55 to 60. So we take a range of maybe 10 to 15% is what he can spike up in a single pin code. Apparently, if there is a sale period which comes in and there are like 40 extra shipments which come into a particular pin code, he'll never be able to deliver, which creates chaos and a backlog. So basically, predictive analysis over here comes into play where we are then able to go back to the branch, check on the capacities available, and then inform in advance saying that there's an upcoming sale. We require people to be added on into these locations, basically maybe on a gig working idea or maybe to a franchisee or whatever, and get them cleared. So that's one part of the forecasting. On the other side is dashboard, so visibility. So could be somebody attempted a shipment but couldn't deliver it because the customer went down to buy milk. uh, Technology comes into play here where the moment he says okay, not available at home or door closed, the trigger goes back to the customer. He gets an alert, he pings back on the same link saying that okay, I'm now at home, and the guy goes back to deliver. So you have an effective delivery conversion which happens. Apart from this, it's all about capacity. So technology helps us build capacity, creates visibility for both the seller, the receiver, and the company in total. It allows us to actually target those areas where you find that something is wrong. I'll not take an example of a shipment delivered. So let's take an example of money collected. So COD is one of the biggest. Let's say 60/40 is the ratio of a COD and a prepaid in any of the e-commerce delivery companies. Uh, Imagine the kind of money you're collecting when you're delivering 10 lakh shipments in a single day, and you have the topmost branches maybe in some cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, anywhere, siphoning money or not depositing money. How do you track it? So technology plays a very important part. Is the moment the money is deposited at a branch from a guy, or if he's not deposited, he's caught real time. So that's how technology plays very, very critical. I believe for any success in today's era, you can't work manually alone. You require to complement your current processes, your manual processes with experience and technology. Coming to the route optimization side, or the mobile app, these are additional advantages which has reduced, or killed away the time which is spared in the branch to sort shipments, or for the guy to understand or remember which building he's got to deliver. So there are systems like Locus which is there are homegrown systems internally, where Google Maps helps you to do all these things. So there is a lot of technology which is built around. I think so. The invent of Swiggy, Zomato's, they've actually, made things much easier where, the guys are now quite accustomed looking at their mobile and delivering it anywhere without even knowing what the address is by just looking at the blue lines, the direction. So this has helped a lot.
Yes, truly. Technology and the data. Without this, I think in today's world, we are lost. Uh, to be honest, without data, we just cannot predict anything. And
Correct.
and now the amount of data we are crunching, the amount of data we are pulling, which is helping our decision making, is actually running the business. So
Exactly.
Elias, I'm really hopeful that we will again meet very soon because I have so many things to know from you. I have so many things to
Sure.
share with our viewers to you through our discussions. And I would like to try to meet you personally and so that we have next broadcast on a personal base. And
Surely.
maybe as I know personally that you are now shifting your base from
Yes,
Mumbai
sir.
to Delhi. You're going to a capital. So I wish you
Yes.
all the best for your
Thank you.
next career path, and we wish to get in touch throughout this
Sure.
journey. I'm more willing to take another 1 or 2 steps to come forward, and we meet again and we talk and we share our discussions to the viewers.
Yes, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm happy that you have a channel which you've created for professionals like us on a one-to-one basis, rather than have a group of people sit and then have discussions. This basically allows us to actually give our individual experiences out, and I feel that expressing what we've done would help a lot of newcomers in the industry to actually go away from the trial and error phase and uh, pick up something which they've heard. Maybe out of 10 things I've spoken about, maybe two could be picked up, but I'm sure that they would save a lot of their time basically on actually going through this churn of trial and error, failing somewhere, stumbling somewhere, and just pick it up and take it. So this is how I look at it. It's wonderful talking to you. You've been a wonderful host, and I wish you all the best on your upcoming podcast. Just let me know whenever you're there in Delhi. We can catch up for tea, coffee, and have this session again. It will be a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Elias.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Yes.